Welcome on the AM News. We get into our first story now. An Interior Minister, Ambrose Derry, says there's no plot by government or the MPP to remove IGP Dr. George Ekufu Dampare from office. Now, a leaked tape in circulation has a purported senior police officer and some politicians scheming to oust the IGP. Now, speaking to Joy News, Ambrose Derry said the IGP had been exceptional in the delivery of his duties and that there were no efforts to take him out of office. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kofi Annan now reports.
This leaked tape has set tongues wagging, with some people arguing it has dire security consequence. Interior Minister Ambrose Derry has jumped to the defense of the IGP, insisting he's going nowhere.
I think they should ignore it with the contempt that it deserves. There is no plot to remove anybody. I don't know about anything. As far as I'm concerned, he's doing a good job.
And will you investigate if there is a so-called tape of a certain senior police officer and MPP government officials trying to plot anything of the sort?
Well, I serve my president and I'll do what is policy to bring the development of this country. I'm not sure I want to get involved in any investigation thing, except that they relate to crime. Then we'll do that. But I think that so far, I think we are doing well.
The minority in Parliament are, however, demanding an investigation.
It passes for treason. It is an attempt to subvert the will of the Ghanaian people. The revelations in that audio are very serious. And so, for me, rather than dismiss what is contained in the audio, I think I would urge the Interior Minister to take steps, and very quickly, to get to the bottom of the matter.
Former police officer and MP for Wa West, Peter Lanchini Tobu, says the NDC will resist attempts to rig the 2024 election. He, however, has concerns the tape may have been AI generated.
If somebody thinks that is the Ayawaso West bygone election type of violence that can lead the MPP to break the 8, then it means that we don't want the Fourth Republic. Because anything like Ayawaso West wagon violence, if anything like that surfaces in the 2024 elections, our democracy problem will be gone. Nobody will sit and take that. I've listened to the audio, and it is quite strange. No commissioner worth his salt will do this. I'm tempted to believe that is that application of AI that has generated the voice and have done such a thing. It is dastardly, it is shameful. From a professional background, I think that is an AI generated something just to deceive the public.
So far, what has been lacking is an official commitment to commence an investigation into these claims of a plot to remove IGP Dr. George Ekufu Dampare. The government, through the Interior Minister, is assuring that they are so satisfied with the work. In fact, the minority have also said that they are satisfied with the work he has done so far. There are those who say that they want some more confirmation in terms of the identity of the persons fingered on the tape before they can comment on this publicly. But this is going to be a raging topic, at least for the next few days. Reporting for Joy News, Kofi Annan, Parliament House, Accra.
Well, the Minister for the Interior, Ambrose Derry, also says he is hopeful Parliament will approve an amendment to the Narcotic Control Commission Act. The Supreme Court struck out Section 43 of the bill as unconstitutional. We'll hear from the Minister shortly, but first listen to Deputy Chairperson of the Defense and Interior Committee, Ophelia Mensah, recommending the passage of the amendment.
Mr. Speaker, the committee expressed concern about the inability of the judiciary to consult Parliament before deciding to strike out Section 43 of Act 1019 as unconstitutional. The committee, without prejudice to the recognition of the essence of the doctrine of separation of powers in advancing democratic culture and values, is of the convention that organs of the state need to appreciate that their functions are complementary. Consequently, the three organs of the state should work towards the common conventions. The value of the cannabis industry in the United States of America alone is projected to reach $30 billion annually by 2025, for which reason it has gained increased legislation in other regions. Speaker, there are numerous economic growth opportunities regarding increased tax revenues, job creation, and investment prospects. Mr. Speaker, Ghana should aim to change the narrative of cultivation of cannabis for legal purpose for the benefit of the economy and the health sector. The growth of cannabis could solve the problems of shortages faced by firms that require cannabis for their medical, cosmetic, and industrial needs. Ghana, Mr. Speaker, when positioned properly, could enter the export market by initially targeting the sub-region African market and later the United States of America.
Now, the police at Nyenehin in the Ashanti region have arrested a police corporal for allegedly stealing and causing damage to property. Corporal Lansa Umar, stationed at Assam near Mampong, but on leave, is said to have broken the security door to the house of another police officer and stolen some bags of cement with the help of an accomplice. A resident in the Tre Nyame neighborhood of Nyenehin is said to have heard an unusual noise of the break-in and alerted other neighbors of the robbery incident at about 11 p.m. Ohiming has more in this report.
This man and his accomplice, 25-year-old tricycle rider Mohammed Seidu, are said to have used a pickaxe to destroy and break into a foreign-made security door of the room where 200 bags of cement were being kept. The two fled the scene, leaving a tricycle behind before the arrival of other neighbors who later reported the incident to a police night patrol team. Traces of the tricycle led to the arrest of Seidu, who mentioned Corporal Umar as the other accomplice. He led the police to the home of Umar, who led police to where he kept 12 bags of cement from the crime. Evangelist Richard Ampa witnessed the arrest.
I was at home by 12 a.m. and I got a call that the house that we are working on it, somebody has break it. And I came here, and it is true. The person used pickers to break the China door. It is a very hard door, but he managed to break it. And the cement there was about 55 cement. Okay. After investigation, when the police arrived, they suspect him. And at the end of the day, he showed that it is him who took the cement. And he showed the place he has put the cement to.
The arrest of Corporal Lansa Umar has left residents of Nyenehini, including Evangelist Ampa, a mason who works for Umar, shocked. It comes at a time when the area has been recording break-ins.
I know the policeman very well, but I don't know why she did this. I don't expect him to do this. It's very bad. And as at now, I'm confused because as a policeman, you know the laws, the rules and regulations that govern the country. So we have to do it so that you come to arrest us. But for a policeman to still, I have heard it, but I haven't seen it before. But now they have seen that they can do it.
Meanwhile, police sources say the two will be put before court soon. From Nyenehini in the Ashanti region for Joy News, Oyamenteria reporting.
Now, Ghana's greenhouse gas emission is expected to double by 2030. Scientists at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology have predicted. The study, led by Dr. Yen Adams Sokama Noyam of the Department of Petroleum Engineering, arrived at this conclusion based on analysis of recent findings. Chief Executive Officer of Coans Estates, Kofi Annan, says there must be a paradigm shift on this matter.
As a country, we need to fight climate change, and climate change is driven by greenhouse gas emission. We as a country, we have made it our priority to reduce greenhouse gas emission. The government have said it time and over, they are aiming to reduce emission by about 15% by the year 2030, which is a very good ambition. Now, if we decide that we want to reduce emission, first of all, we need to know the emission rate of our country. We need to be able to monitor it. That means we need to have some tools that can help us to monitor, and we need to be able to predict our emission into the future. As a country, we've done well in collecting emission data. From 1990, we have collected a lot of emission data which are in different institutions. Okay, what we did was simply bring these emission data together and try to analyze them to see how our emission has been changing over the years. And then based on that, we use machine learning to try to predict our emission into the near future. And we've done the prediction from 2016 to 2030. And based on the study, actually, if we are going by our current trajectory, our emission is not going to go down by 15% by the year 2030, but rather is going to more than double by the year 2030. So that was what this research was all about. Then another finding that we made was that most of our emission that is coming from the energy sector is coming from the transportation, that is driving of cars and stuff like that. Yeah. Now, the reasons are that most of us use cars. I think as a country, you either have a car or at least you are aiming to buy one. And also, most of our cars are pretty old. Even as a person, I'm using a used car. Most people in Ghana drive used cars. And these cars are not fuel efficient. So they tend to emit more greenhouse gases into the environment. So one solution that we propose is mass transportation. Now, you may propose, for example, electric vehicles. But how many people in Ghana can afford electric vehicles? Do we even have the power to be able to power these cars around? You know, you may propose maybe solar vehicles. That is more realistic. But even that, to what extent can we be able to get this within this time space of, let's say, 2023 to 2030? We will not be able to get that. But we can begin to build infrastructure for mass transportation. We can travel by train. Okay, the government is trying to develop that. So we can invest in these areas and it will help us to reduce emission. Another area we can go is to blend our fuel. Instead of using just the fossil fuels, we can go into biofuels, which we have technology in this institution to produce. And then we blend it with the fossil fuels, and that will reduce emission as well. So these are some of the areas that we have looked at.
Now, a research fellow at the Center for African Studies, Free State University, South Africa, Dr. Musa Vengana Chibwana, is advocating and urging the Ghanaian youth to step up and take positions of decision-making in the country. Speaking at a citizens' forum on youth democracy, peace and elections organized by the Youth Bridge Foundation, he stressed that in a country whose population was largely youthful, they had to be allowed a space on the decision-making table. There is more in this report.
Ghana's 2020 youth voter population, according to the Electoral Commission, consists of 55.1% of the total voter population. However, this number does not translate into a vibrant youth representation in governance. The Youth Bridge Foundation organized a forum to identify and address the gaps and root causes of youth marginalization in governance, identify and address the symptoms of underlying governance and democratic deficit, and to provide policy advice on responsible youth participation in democracy, elections, and promotion of peace. Speaking at the forum, a research fellow at the Center for African Studies, Dr. Musa Vengana Chibwana, advocated the inclusion of many youth in leadership positions.
Forward. Who is this young person? I have put before you several attributes of this Ghanaian young person who should be able to take the democracy of Ghana forward, who should be able to preserve the peace, independence, and solidarity of this Ghana forward. Who is this young person? This young person is confident. Confident to stand for office to start with. But it's good to want to be president. You have to be confident. You have to believe in yourself. The statistics that we're hearing here from the Electoral Commission are very concerning. Young people are the ones who are voting. 78%, I wrote this down. Young people are the king makers, but they're not kings. That's concerning. You're making kings, but you're not the kings. You're not in parliament, but you're making parliamentarians. You're making councillors, but you're not any. That's concerning. You're not on the ballot paper. That's worrisome. Even if a young person is on the ballot paper, fellow young people will not vote for them. Because they look at them and say, they don't have experience. But how do you get the experience until you get a chance? Come on, give fellow young people a chance by voting for them. Have confidence in fellow young people.
He further urged the youth to be committed to integrity even at the very tender age, and believes that it is the only way to curb the pandemic of corruption plaguing the African continent.
You have to commit that whatever you shall do, you love your country so much to be corrupt. You shall not be corrupt. One of the things we are contending with on the continent is we are losing a lot of resources through unscrupulous ways. People are digging out our gold and they are flying out with our gold without paying a dime, without paying anything. Corruption is rife in some of our countries on the continent. I pray it's not so in Ghana. But as young people, you need to commit that I shall not be corrupt. Can I hear you say that? In fact, start by saying it now. Say, I'm not corrupt. Yeah, so you should not be the one who pays those bribes.
Now, the former Minister for Zango Development, Dr. Mustafa Hamid, has called for strong reforms in curricula and methods of teaching in the Islamic Educational Center in Ghana. According to him, this is to help meet advancements in modern education that will lead to a transformation among Zango communities. He made this known at the National Conference in Islamic Education in Accra.
According to some Islamic scholars, the current teaching and learning methods in Islamic schools, from basic to tertiary, only seeks to promote the learning of the Quran, but does not build the capacities of students in other fields, including engineering, mathematics, and accounting. This has over the years stalled the progress of the Muslim youth and other Muslim communities. It is against this background that the World Muslim Communities Council, in collaboration with Talim Ghana, is holding the Islamic Teaching and Learning Conference in Accra to develop new curriculum to meet modern trends. In an interview with Joy News, the former Zango Development Minister, Dr. Mustafa Hamid, explained that there is an urgent need to reform the current teaching and learning methods in the Islamic schools to meet the curricular system of education.
Minister responsible for Muslim communities in Ghana, and I know that we have a challenge. Now I am no longer minister, but I carry the pain in my heart and I want to do something to continue to help the development of Muslim communities in Ghana. And I would be very happy if the World Muslim Communities Council would help to partner me for us to continue to engage.
On his part, the head of school translators at the Ghana Institute of Languages, Dr. Abdallah Mustafa Abdallah, highlighted the need for reforms and the challenges in Islamic education.
They don't even have a vehicle to go around to do inspection. They don't have it. They need books. They need TLMs. So all these things are needed. And finally, the universities, all the universities needed certain teaching and learning material like computers, projectors. So if Talim Ghana can partner with World Muslim Communities and get some projectors, computers, and distribute it among all the tertiary institutions in Ghana, it will go a long way to help Arabic education in Ghana.
Karen Obin's report read to you.
Now, the Chief Executive Officer of Coan's Estates, Kofi Annan, says there must be a paradigm shift from borrowing for consumption to borrowing for investment that yields financial returns for the country. Speaking in an interview, the entrepreneur urged the government to find more lasting solutions to the country's economic malaises rather than run to the IMF.
There are certain things we need to do because we can't continue to live like this forever. Okay, the IMF conditionalities, they are good, but they are for short term. There are so many things we need to do as a country and as a people, without which we will go and come back again. We need to take the right decision. I don't know the terms and conditions that were associated with the money, but the most important thing is industrialization, ensuring that the private sector gets the necessary momentum to be able to make sure that we move forward. Those monies which were given to us, if it is for, say, whatever project that we decided to go for that money for. We have to make sure that the project is self-sustained, or is yes, it is self-sustainable after the expiration of the IMF period. That is one mistake we've done. We go for money to borrow money. We come and build bridges. We don't take how do you call it, tools. We don't find a way to pay them back so that we can ensure that these loans that we went for are in fact beneficial. When you go to the US and other places, George Washington bridges and other things, they were built over so many years. They still take tolls. So we go for money, we borrow monies, at the end of the day, we use the money for anyhow things which are not productive, to put it. But you don't go for money, and then unless it's a grant.
Well, that's how we cap off the news. The news review is up next. Do stay.